Inflation, Mr. Speaker, has hit a 40-year high, and Canadians are worse off than they ever could have imagined. 7.7% inflation, and it's Canadians who are suffering. While Liberals blame COVID, Putin, and everything else, Conservatives have asked and are still asking that the Liberals cut taxes and give Canadians a break at the pumps. Even President Biden announced a 3-month gas tax break. But these Liberals cold-heartedly keep saying no. Liberals would rather see Canadians suffer than accept any of our good ideas. Isn't that the truth?
The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And my honourable colleague is certainly correct that affordability is a critically important concern for Canadians. That is why the Deputy Prime Minister, in a speech last week, talked through the $9 billion in support that we are providing on that basis. We are also working to help stabilize global energy prices through increasing production of oil and gas alongside our partners, the United States, Brazil, and other countries, to ensure that we are concurrently addressing the energy crisis that exists in a manner that will ensure affordability for Canadians.
Well, who would have thunk it, Mr. Speaker? The last time inflation was this high was 40 years ago, and we had another divisive, big tax and spend Liberal Prime Minister named Trudeau. They say history repeats itself, Mr. Speaker. I say we should have learned from the last experience. With so many Canadians struggling, does the Minister of Finance acknowledge that her $100 billion of stimulus spending is inflationary, that this level of inflation isn't fair, it isn't just? Will she admit today that it's just inflation?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, global inflation caused by a number of factors, which include supply chain bottlenecks, climate change, and the war in Ukraine, is having a significant impact on the household budgets of Canadians. While Canada's rate of inflation is below average when compared to the Euro area, the US, the OECD, we are continuing to focus on economic growth and making life more affordable for Canadians. Our measures have helped lift 1.3 million Canadians out of poverty, and important programs that have supported seniors, families, and individuals are indexed to the cost of living. We will continue to invest in Canadians while lowering our debt to GDP ratio and increasing Canada's long-term fiscal advantage.
Honourable Member for Central Okanagan, Similkameen Nicola.
These Liberals always want to talk about what Moody thinks, but the only Moody that member should think about right now, Mr. Speaker, is the Moody of the Canadian people. Conservatives have been pointing out to the example of Alberta for months, where the government cut gas taxes, the price of gas dropped along with the province's inflation. Lower gas prices is a win for consumers and for the economy. Even President Biden is now calling for a 3-month gas tax holiday to do the same for the American people. Will the Finance Minister implement one today, or is the only holiday her government has in mind is a 3-month accountability holiday from Parliament?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we understand rising gas prices have had a negative impact on the household budgets of Canadians, but we also know that the increase is a global phenomenon, in part resulting from the war in Ukraine. If we implement a tax holiday on oil and gas, energy companies could actually pocket the difference in cost, and there is no guarantee that the savings will be passed on to Canadian consumers. Similarly, our carbon price at 11 cents per litre is the only fee collected on gas that is returned to consumers, making life more affordable for 8 out of 10 Canadian families.
Le député de Louis-Saint-Laurent.
Président, les Canadiens se sont levés ce matin avec une autre mauvaise nouvelle de ce gouvernement-là. L'inflation au pays est à 7,7 %. Ça, c'est le plus élevé depuis 40 ans. Ça touche toutes les familles canadiennes, mais particulièrement les plus humbles d'entre nous. Nous, les conservateurs, ça fait des mois qu'on demande que l'on baisse la taxe sur le prix de l'essence. Mais voilà, Monsieur le Président, qu'on n'est pas tout seul à penser ça. Le président démocrate américain Biden propose, lui, de réduire la taxe pour les 3 prochains mois. Monsieur le Président, est-ce que le premier ministre pourrait être d'accord avec son ami Biden et baisser les taxes?
L'honorable ministre.
Monsieur le Président, nous savons que c'est une période très difficile pour des millions de Canadiens. Les courses sont plus chères, les paiements du loyer ou de l'hypothèque sont difficiles à effectuer. C'est la raison pour laquelle nous avons baissé les taxes pour la classe moyenne à 2 reprises. Les conservateurs ont voté contre. C'est la raison également que les paiements de la sécurité de la vieillesse, que nous venons d'ailleurs d'augmenter, arrivent au mois de juillet. C'est aussi la raison pour laquelle les prestations en vertu de l'allocation canadienne pour enfants vont être transférées au mois de juillet. Nous sommes là pour aider les Canadiens à faire face à l'augmentation du coût de la vie. Les conservateurs s'opposent à toutes ces mesures-là, Monsieur le Président.
Le député de Louis-Saint-Laurent.
En ne s'inspirant pas du président Biden, les libéraux font en sorte que le Canada devient le seul pays du G7 à ne pas avoir baissé la taxe sur le pétrole. Mais, Monsieur le Président, pas besoin d'aller à l'autre bout du monde pour savoir qu'une baisse de taxe, ça fonctionne. Au Canada, en Alberta, le 1er avril, alors que le gouvernement montait la taxe libérale sur le carbone, le gouvernement provincial de l'Alberta, lui, baissait sa taxe et l'abolissait même. Résultat, ça baisse l'inflation en Alberta. Pourquoi, si ça fonctionne en Alberta, ça ne fonctionnerait pas partout au Canada?
L'honorable secrétaire parlementaire.
Monsieur le Président, j'aimerais corriger mon collègue. Avec tout respect, les Américains n'ont pas baissé ces taxes-là, pas encore en tout cas. Et c'est parce qu'ils savent qu'en baissant les taxes pour les compagnies pétrolières, on n'aide pas les Canadiens directement. Nous, de ce côté-ci de la Chambre, on aide les Canadiens directement avec des prestations uniques aux Canadiens qui ont la difficulté à trouver du logement abordable, avec des prestations directes pour les aînés, avec des prestations directes pour les familles, avec des jeunes enfants. Monsieur le Président, on est là pour soutenir les Canadiens. Les conservateurs sont là pour soutenir les compagnies pétrolières. C'est ça, là.
Speaker, residents in my riding are making hard decisions when it comes to everyday essentials, like Paul from Omimi, caught in a catch-22 where he has to work more than 50 hours a week just to make a living, or Barbara, a senior in Bobcaygeon, who worries as her savings dwindle away, or Scott from Burnt River, concerns that the ongoing cost of diesel could mean the end of his business, or Brad from Peterborough, who must make tough decisions between gas for work or food from the family. When will the Prime Minister end his reckless spending and finally address the cost of living crisis?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, we know that this is a difficult time for millions of Canadian families. Groceries are more expensive, bills are adding up. That's why we cut taxes for the middle class and small businesses and lifted more than 1.3 million Canadians out of poverty. We're reducing childcare costs for parents. We're delivering increased benefits for our seniors. We're also making investments to boost Canada's long-term growth and create good-paying jobs, all while lowering our debt-to-GDP ratio every single year, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Inflation has risen almost a full point month over month to 7.7, near record levels. Europe has reduced fuel taxes. The U.S. president is now calling for a gas tax holiday. What is this government doing? Increasing fuel taxes. The last time world oil prices were this high was 2014, and the price of gas in Canada was $1.40, 70 cents less than today. The Minister of Finance says this is beyond her control, but she is ignoring her role in actually escalating inflation. When will she take her foot off the gas on fuel tax increases?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Speaker, certainly affordability challenges that are facing Canadians today are significant. It is incumbent on the government to take steps to ensure that we are addressing that issue. As the honourable member knows, the Minister of Finance discussed last week the investments that we are making to address the affordability challenges faced by Canadians of modest incomes. We will continue to look at how we can actually work to ensure affordability going forward. Concurrently, we are working to address the energy security challenge, increasing the amount of oil and gas that we are producing in this country to stabilize global energy prices and allow them to be reduced over time to get away from Vladimir Putin and the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the impacts on energy prices.
Honourable Member for Sarnia-Lambton.
Mr. Speaker, Brandy from my riding is a single mom struggling to get by. The higher cost of gas and groceries has forced her to go to the food bank. And now CRA, after 7 years of auditing her without finding anything, has decided she has to pay $30,000 in back taxes, and the minister has taken no action to revisit her case. Will the Liberals resolve Brandy's case and suspend the tax on gas like Joe Biden is planning to do?
L'honorable ministre.
Monsieur le Président, notre gouvernement était là pour soutenir les Canadiens pendant la pandémie. Alors que l'Agence du revenu étend actuellement ses efforts de vérification et de recouvrement, les personnes touchées peuvent être rassurées, Monsieur le Président, nous sommes là aussi pour les aider. Les personnes qui ont besoin d'aide peuvent communiquer avec l'Agence pour trouver une solution qui va être adaptée à leur situation. Et je tiens à rassurer mes collègues que l'Agence procédera avec empathie et compassion, Monsieur le Président.